Hello everybody, my name is Sissy and today we're going to do a tutorial on how to customize your own kiosks. Before we begin, there are 3 things that you need to know. First, what is a kiosk? Kiosk is the term that I use to define a modded object in The Sims 2 that your Sims can walk up to and purchase an item. Rather than leaving your Sims at home and having them purchase all objects from the buy catalog, it creates a much more immersive experience to send your Sims to a shop to purchase items. An example of a kiosk that ships with The Sims 2 is the Gadget Kiosk, where your Sims can walk up and purchase cell phones, MP3 players, and a handheld game. This tutorial will show you how to make your own so that you can have kiosks like the Gadget Kiosk for any type of item that you choose. Secondly, you will need SimPE for this tutorial. There's a link in the description to the SimPE preservation project, so that you can find the version of SimPE that you're the most comfortable with and works with your computer. And finally, this tutorial is for relative beginners. You do not need to have any prior experience with modding objects to follow this tutorial. If needed, you can pause the video to take a closer look at the screen to know exactly where to click. Now, let's get to making your custom object. Part 1. Gather your information. After you download and unzip the kiosk template, which is linked in the description of this video, you should take the 2 Sissy Sims kiosk files, right-click, copy, and paste. Now you will have a copy of each of these. Then, rename them. I'm going to be making a kiosk where Sims can go to purchase my Watcher Book of Faith, so I'm going to be naming this WBOF for Watcher Book of Faith. Do this for both files. The reason that we made a copy of the files is so if you want to make multiple kiosks, you do not need to go back to SimFileShare to download these again. You can continuously make copies of these to create as many kiosks as you want. It also provides a backup of the template in case something happens and you want to start over. First, we are going to start with the data gathering sheet. Open this in Notepad. We are going to be filling out all of this information, starting at the top. First, decide on the name of your kiosk. This is the actual kiosk object. And then write a description for that object. We are doing this here so that any decisions you need to make about your object are done during this data gathering phase. That way, once you open SimPE, all you will have to do is copy and paste information. You won't have to make any decisions while SimPE is open. Then, decide on the price of your kiosk. Mine is going to be 99 simoleons. Then you need to generate a GUID. A GUID is the unique identifier for your object. Every object in The Sims 2 has a unique GUID. These are 8 digits, and the best way to make sure that your GUID does not conflict with another object in the game is actually to generate it randomly. My suggestion for doing this is to go to browserling.com/tools/random-hex. This link is also in the description. What you will do on this page is where it says how many digits, you will change this to 8, and how many results, you will change this to 1. Then you will click Generate Hex. This will give you a string of letters and numbers that you can use for your GUID. Copy this and put it into your data gathering sheet. After you have your randomly generated GUID, you then need to decide on the room sort. The room sort and the function sort correspond to your buy catalog. For a room sort, the options are bathroom, bedroom, dining room, kitchen, living room, kids, study, outside, or miscellaneous. You may select multiple. Since this is for my Watcher Book of Faith, I'm going to put this in the miscellaneous room sort. For the function sort, this also corresponds to your buy catalog. For example, would you like this to show up under appliances, decorative, electronics, lights, plumbing, seating, surfaces, or hobbies? Each function also has a subcategory. which corresponds to your buy catalog. For example, under electronics, you could have this show up under electronics, TVs and computers, electronics miscellaneous. This is purely your preference. There are no wrong answers here. This is just where you would like your object, your kiosk, to show up in your buy catalog. For my Watcher Book of Faith, I am going to put this in miscellaneous, miscellaneous. Depending on what version of SimPE you have, miscellaneous may also be called general. If you don't know where to put your kiosk, or if you're afraid of losing it in your catalog, I recommend putting it in the miscellaneous category. You can always move it later. Now that we have filled out the general information for the kiosk and have decided what we will name it, its description, the price it will have, where it will appear in the buy catalog, and generated a unique GUID for it, it's time to move on to what it will look like. There are two types of objects that you may want your kiosk to look like. One is a custom object that you have downloaded, and another is an in-game object. In my case, I have downloaded a custom object called the Jacobin Book Open, which is a Sims Medieval conversion, and I would like my Watcher Book of Faith kiosk to look like this open book. So since this is a custom object, what you are going to do is open it in SimPE. We need the model name, and this data gathering sheet tells you exactly what that is. STR instance 85. This is my Jacobin Book Open package. What you will do is in the resource tree on the left-hand side, you will go to STR and click it. Then on the right-hand side, you will click the instance column header, and that will sort the instances by number. And I would like you to look for number 85. It is usually called 3D object names, but if it is a custom object, the creator may have renamed this. In any case, once you have instance 85 selected, you are going to go down to the plugin view, line number 1, and click it. Now, in the string box, you are going to highlight this and copy it. I'm using Control-C on my keyboard. Go back to your data gathering sheet and paste that information. Now that you have the model name, there is one other thing that we need to do while we have our custom item open. If you look in the data gathering sheet, there is a note in the top, which says, in addition to the below information, you will also need these resources of the mesh you will be using for the kiosk. TXMT, TXTR, MMAT, GMDC, GMND, CRES, and SHPE. Don't be scared. I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do. In our SimPE file of the mesh we will be using, in my case, the open book, make sure on the resource tree on the left-hand side that you have clicked all res, which stands for all resources. Then in the resource list, you are going to go to type and you are going to click on the column header. Then hold the control key on your keyboard. With the control key selected, click on TXMT, click on TXTR, click on MMAT, click on GMDC, click on GMND, click on CRES, and click on SHPE. You do not need to remember the names of all of these. It is in the data gathering sheet which of these you need. After you have all of these lines selected, release the control key on your keyboard. Then, right-click on any of the highlighted lines and click Extract. Put them in a folder that you will be able to find them. I recommend wherever your data gathering sheet is. For me, this is in the Sissy Sims Kiosk template folder that I have on my desktop. And then click OK, and it will say that it has extracted the files. The number of files may be different depending on the type of custom object that you have. And then click OK. Now that we have the model name and we have extracted the resources or the mesh that we will be using for our kiosk look, we are done with this file and you can close it. If you want your kiosk to look like an in-game object and you do not have the file on your computer to open in SimPE, what you can do is instead, you can open SimPE directly and in the bottom, you will click on Object Workshop. Click Start, and this will give you a list of the objects in the game. I'm going to choose Decorative, Sculpture, and the Stuff Me Silly Scarecrow from McCracken Industries. This is the scarecrow in the game in the Deco Sculptures category. Once you have your object selected, click Next, click Task, and make sure it is set to Clone. Then first I would like you to uncheck everything to make sure that nothing unexpected is checked. And what you will then do is select Set Custom Group, create a standalone object, pull only default color, and then at the top you will click Finish. It will say Object was created and loaded. What you will do now is follow the exact same steps that we just followed for our custom object by going to Text List str, sorting by instance number, instance 85, and if the bottom still is on the Object Workshop and you can't see the information that you need, in the bottom, make sure to click on Plugin View. And now it will have your model name. You can then go to All Resources, sort by type. You may need to use the scroll bar on the right-hand side to see everything, but you will extract the same resources the same way that we just did for the custom object. Now that you have gotten the model name for your object, whether it is a custom object or an in-game model, and you have extracted the other information from that file that you need, we now have everything we need for the general kiosk. Now it is time to get the information for the objects we will have it for sale. This template includes space for 10 objects to be set for sale. You do not need to use all of these slots. For example, I will only be selling one object from this kiosk, my Watcher Book of Faith. Any objects that you are not going to use, leave blank. For the objects for sale, the first thing that we need for object number 1 is the name. Open up the object in SimPE. If it is a custom object, you will just double click on the file and it will open. Or if it is an in-game object, follow the same cloning procedure that I showed you earlier. Once you have the object open, on the left-hand side in the resource tree, click on Catalog Description, CTSS, and then in the resource list, click on Catalog Description. In the plugin view at the bottom, in the string box, highlight the name of the object and copy that information. Then, paste it into your data gathering sheet. Then in SimPE, on the left-hand side, click on Object Data, OBJD. Click on the entry in the resource list. And in Plugin View, you are going to click a tab next to Catalog Sort called Raw Data. And then on the right-hand side, you are going to switch the setting from hexadecimal to decimal. Now, if you go down this list, under the section called Catalog Price, there is a 0x0012 price. And on the right-hand side, you will see what number that is set to. This is the price of the object in your buy catalog. Copy this price and paste it into your data gathering sheet. Go back into SimPE, and on the same tab, in the left-hand side, under where it says GUID, you are going to highlight that information, copy it, and paste it into your data gathering sheet. Now there is a section that says Purchasable By, and I have in parentheses TAE. That stands for Teen, Adult, or Elder. In the template that we will be working with, all of the objects are set to be purchasable by teens, adults, and elders. However, you can choose for certain objects to only be available to 1, 2, or all 3 of these life stages. I would like my Watcher Book of Faith to be purchasable by teens, adults, and elders. In my case, this kiosk is only going to sell this single item, so I am done with my data gathering sheet. However, you need to repeat the steps that we followed for object 1 for as many objects as you would like this kiosk to distribute. Once you have done that for at least one object and a maximum of 10 objects, you are going to go to File and Save. This will save your data gathering sheet. So now that we have all of the information that we need for our kiosk and the objects that it's going to sell, let's move on to part 2, setting up the kiosk. Open up your renamed kiosk file in SimPE by double-clicking on it. Then, on the left-hand side under the resource tree, go to STR, then click on 3D object names, and then click on line 1. What you are going to do is delete the information that I have there. You are going to copy the model name from your data gathering sheet, and you are going to paste it. Then you are going to click Commit File. Then what you are going to do is click on All Res, and then you are going to right-click anywhere in the white space, and you are going to click Add. You will see in my Sissy Sims kiosk template folder, I have a subfolder called Extracted Mesh. These are all of the files that I extracted from the open book model that we are using. Go through each of them one at a time. I'm going to start at the top with texture image. Highlight all of the files in that subfolder and click Open. Then repeat that process by right-clicking, Add. I'm going to go to the next one, Material Override. Highlight all of the files and click Open. Right-click, Add. The next one, Geometric Node. Highlight and Open. Right-click, Add. Go to the next one, Material Definition. Highlight them all and click Open. Right-click, Add. Go to the next one, Geometric Data Container. Highlight them all and click Open. Right-click, Add. Go to the next one, Resource Node. Highlight them all and click Open. Right-click, Add. Go to the next one, Shape. Highlight them all and click Open. Now that we have added all of the files that we had previously extracted during the data gathering phase, on the left-hand side, click on Catalog Description, CTSS. Click on Catalog Description. And in line 0, where it says Kiosk Name, delete that information. Copy the name of the kiosk from your data gathering sheet and paste it in. In line 1, where it says Kiosk Description, delete that information and paste the description from your data gathering sheet. Then, on the right-hand side, click Commit File. Now, in the left-hand side on the resource tree, click on Object Data OBJD. Then, click on the kiosk, name of kiosk. We're going to be editing several things here. The first thing that you need to edit is under where it says Object Data Editor and it has the file name, delete where it says Name of Kiosk, and put the name of your kiosk. Then click Commit right underneath File Name. Then, underneath the File Name tab, a little bit to the right, click the tab where it says Catalog Sort. You will see here that there is a Room Sort section and a Function Sort section. Since you have already made this decision, just click the checkboxes that match your data gathering sheet. For example, my Watcher Book of Faith is in the Miscellaneous room with the General Miscellaneous Sort. Depending on what version of SimPE you have, this may say General Miscellaneous or Miscellaneous Miscellaneous. After you've used the checkbox for your Room Sort and your Function Sort, click Commit. Then click the tab that says Raw Data. Put your cursor to the right and switch it from hexadecimal to decimal. And then look for the section called Catalog Price and then Price. The default price of the kiosk is 515 simoleons. Replace this with the price that you have in your data gathering sheet. Then click Commit. The raw data tab may turn white. Don't worry, the information is still there. And finally, underneath the Commit button where it says GUID, currently it is set to a string of zeros. What you are going to do is copy the GUID from your data gathering sheet, and you are going to highlight everything after the X. Leave the 0x, highlight everything else, delete it, and then paste your randomly generated GUID. Then click the Update button under GUID, and then click Commit. Now what you are going to do in the top left is hit the Save button. If you hover over it, it says Save Package. You can also go to File and Save. What we have just done is entered all of the information for our main kiosk. So now it's time to move on to part 3, Set Objects for Sale. Now that the kiosk itself is ready, let's enter the object data for the objects that it will be selling. The first thing that you are going to do, on the left-hand side in the resource tree, you are going to go to Behavior Constant Labels, TRCN. You are going to click on the Tuning Pricing entry, and then in the plugin view at the bottom, you are going to click on line 1 where it says Object 1, and in the label field on the left, highlight Object 1, delete that information, copy the name of Object 1 from your data gathering sheet and paste it. Then click Commit File. Repeat that step for objects 2 through 10, or for as many objects as your kiosk has for sale. My kiosk is only selling the one object, so I can leave the rest of the information as is. Then, in the resource tree on the left, go to Behavior Constant, BCON, and click on it. Then click on Tuning Pricing. What you are going to do here is click on line 1. For me, that is where it says Watcher Book of Faith. On the left-hand side, under where it says Value, you are going to go to the DEC box, which stands for decimal, and you are going to enter the price of the object that you have from your data gathering sheet. My Watcher Book of Faith is 2 simoleons. Then click Commit. Repeat that for objects 2 through 10, or as many objects as your kiosk will be selling. The label column here will match the object names that you put in your TRCN. Then, on the left-hand side, under the resource tree, you are going to go to the Pie menu strings, or the TTAs, and click on it. Then on your resource list on the right, you're going to click on Pie menu strings. Here, you are going to go to line 5, where it says Buy Object 1. You're going to delete where it says Object 1, and you are going to paste the name of the object from your data gathering sheet. Then, on the right-hand side, click Commit File. Repeat this for as many objects as your kiosk will be selling. In the resource tree on the left-hand side, click on Text List, STR. Then, you are going to click where it says Dialog Prim String Set. Then, in the plugin view, what you're going to do is click on line 1, where it says Object 1 has been added to your inventory. In the string box, you are going to replace Object 1 with the name of your object. Repeat this for objects 2 through 10 if needed. It's important to note that depending on the object, you may also want to change the verb. For example, I have a pharmacy kiosk. If my pharmacy kiosk sells an item called potion, I would want it to say, potion has been added to your inventory. However, if my pharmacy kiosk sells an object called pills, I would want it to say, pills have been added to your inventory, not pills has been added to your inventory. So you may want to change the verb here depending on the name of the object that you're selling. The verb does not need to be the same for all of these lines. Some of them can say has, some of them can say have, etc. Be sure to click Commit File in the top right. On the left-hand side under Resource Tree, you are going to click Behavior Function, BHAV. On this tab, At the top, highlight the name column header and click it. This will put the entries in a much more readable order. First, we are going to be editing the interactions called by product, objects 1 through 10. So click on the first one, interaction by product, object 1. And all we are going to be doing for this one is where it says file name, you are going to change object 1 to the name of the object. And click commit file, which is on the right-hand side, though not in the top right corner. Repeat changing the file name for objects 2 through 10 as needed. Next, we're going to edit the event, add product, object lines. So click on event, add product, object 1. And the first thing that we are going to be doing is changing the file name, just like we did for the by product lines. Where it says event, add product, replace object 1 with the name of your object from your data gathering sheet. And click commit. I recommend editing all of the names and then doing the next step. The next thing that you are going to do for the event add product lines after you have changed the file name is you are going to click on line 0x1. It says create new object instance, and it says 0x12345678. Click on that line. This is where we're going to put the GUID for the object that you will be selling. The numbers 0x1 through 8 correspond to the GUID of the object that you have in your data gathering sheet. All GUIDs will begin with 0x and then have 8 digits, letters or numbers. What you are going to do after you click that line, on the right-hand side, under Instruction Settings, there is a field called Operands, and these first 4 boxes will have the numbers 1 through 8, but they will be in a reverse order. So it will say 7, 8, 5, 6, 3, 4, 1, 2. What you will do is you will put the 8 digits after the X of your object's GUID in these fields. For example, my Watcher Book of Faith has a GUID of 0x00290BBC. In those first 4 boxes, I will put where it says the number 1, I will put the first digit. Where it says number 2, the second digit, 3, the third digit, etc. for all 8. I find that it is easiest to start with the 4th box. So where it says 1, 2, I am replacing this with the first 2 digits of my GUID. Then where it says 3, 4, the next 2 digits. Then where it says 5, 6, the next 2 digits. Remember, these can be letters. And where it says 7, 8, the next 2 digits. Once you have edited those 4 boxes, take a look on the left-hand side, back to line 1, where it says Create New Object Instance. The GUID will be in the correct order. Make sure that it matches the GUID that is in your data gathering sheet. For example, you can see that the GUID of my Watcher Book of Faith matches the GUID that is listed where it says Create New Object Instance. It's good to double check just in case you made a typo or mix up any of the boxes. Once you have entered the GUID, be sure to click Commit File. Repeat that for objects 2 through 10 as needed. Once you have finished entering all of the object GUIDs, click on Pie Menu Functions, TTAB, and then click where it says Untitled Tree Table. You will see here on the left-hand side the pie menu strings that you entered earlier. So it will say by / the object name that you entered. You will also see at the top where it says Interaction by Product, and it will have the name of the object. Both the pie string ID and the action BHAV should be the name of object 1. Then it will continue down for up to 10. What you are going to do here is for each of your objects, starting at the top, if the object is not meant to be purchasable by teens, adults, and elders, you will uncheck the box for whoever should not be purchasing it. For example, if I did not want teens to be able to purchase my Watcher Book of Faith, I would uncheck that box. In my case, I would like them all to be able to purchase my object. Once you have done this for all of your objects, go to the object spaces that you are not using. For example, my kiosk is only selling the Watcher Book of Faith. I do not have any additional objects. So for any object slots that you are not using, under the Flags section, you are going to click None. It will not show up on your pie menu, and it will not be purchasable by anyone. Repeat that step for the rest of the objects that you are not using. Then click Commit File in the top left. After you have committed this file, what you are going to do in the top left is click Save Package, which you can find with the floppy disk icon or under File Save. Then exit SimPE. Now put your edited kiosk file into your Downloads folder and test it in your game. When testing, you should make sure that the object shows up under the category in buy mode that you would like it to, for the price that you expect, and that your Sims can purchase all of the items that you want it to. Specifically look for typos in object names or prices, since if you typed information, you could very easily have hit a key twice or had a keystroke not go through. If you do need to make any tweaks, exit out of your game, open the file in SimPE, and correct any typos or prices. It's a good practice not to have SimPE and your Sims 2 game open at the same time. So be sure to close one before you open the other. You can have as many kiosks in your game as you'd like. Just be sure to give the kiosk itself a unique GUID. If you found this tutorial helpful, be sure to tap that like button, and I will see you back here for another video very soon.